There's been a big debate this week among comic creators of whether people should be on IndieGoGo or Kickstarter. And today in our video, we are going to go over the myths that are out there, go over everything that both sites have to offer, and do a good comparison for you and try to give our conclusions of what is the best business strategy to build an audience. All right. There's been some controversy, and I launched a Kickstarter this morning for Deus Volt, to try to get some more customers. I've already had this campaign up on IndieGoGo for a long time, which was extremely successful. Thank you, everybody who backed that and everybody who's supporting the books. And as a creator, you got to look at it and say, well, I want people who want to read the books and think that the books matter. Whether I put it in a comic book store or put it on Amazon, sell it from my own website, the customer base you're hoping to cultivate, hopefully is not loyal to IndieGoGo or Kickstarter or whatever. But there are inherent biases within people's minds towards that at the beginning, which exists as it is. And so you have to kind of make some choices on what to do. Now, there's been a rumor that Kickstarter is somehow worse for projects which are right-wing or Christian in nature or whatever, and that they'll take those down or not approve them. Obviously, Deus Volt being a pretty extreme right-wing meme concept just by itself, that's not the case. So there are instances of deplatforming, and those come from both platforms. So the most I'd say famous one is the deplatforming of Richard C. Meyer and his Jawbreakers campaign back in 2018. Now, that did happen, and that was not allowed on the Kickstarter site, and it's a travesty that that's the case, and it is an SJW company, 100%. They're based out of Washington. They're pro-Black Lives Matter. They are not a great company in terms of something that is for your values or whatnot. But, you're probably watching this on a Apple device or a Google device. So, taking a stand against a storefront is kind of ridiculous, especially when IndieGoGo's the same. IndieGoGo's posted a bunch of Black Lives Matter content. They promote and heavily put SJW content up on their main page also. And though their algorithms are a little less robust than Kickstarter, because they just don't quite have as good a coding on their site, they are exactly the same. They're a San Francisco-based company. They have deplatformed a couple different right-wing books. One's by a guy named Electric Dinosaur on Twitter. He's not a celebrity, so he didn't quite get the news coverage that Richard C. Meyer did. But it is the same on IndieGoGo. So both of these are left-wing extremist companies. Don't kid yourself about that. There is not really a right-wing alternative crowdfunder that's been successful yet. If there is one, of course, we will look into that and be reporting on that for you. So right now, they are two storefronts. It's like opening up a business. Say I live in California, for example. Should I not live in California because the state votes a certain way? I like it here. My family's here. So I want to exist here. So the weather's very nice. There's drawbacks and benefits to each place. Nowhere's perfect. Things are actually pretty good on both websites, just like they are in different places and locations. To me, it's the equivalent of saying, hey, there's a shopping mall 10 minutes south of me, and I want to open up, say, a coffee shop there. And then there's a shopping mall 10 minutes north of me, and somebody wants to open up a coffee shop there. Am I going to go boycott the same coffee shop if I like the coffee and all that at one shopping mall versus another? It just doesn't really make a ton of sense. If you're into the coffee and you want to support the coffee maker, get the coffee or get the hot dog, as people like to say. All right. So Kickstarter has the benefit of having a big, vast normie comic audience that backs books. They don't know who you are necessarily. I've been on this platform several times, and I've found that I do get a different audience on Kickstarter, an audience that was not necessarily my follower prior to this on Kickstarter. On IndieGoGo, I do notice that I recognize a lot of Comicsgate names. I recognize a lot of audience from there. And so it seems like most of that platform is driven from an audience that already knows me. There are less people in terms of that. Now, the benefits, of course, are that, of course, there is a perception among the Comicsgate audience that IndieGoGo is for Comicsgate. So if you want that audience in particular, which I do, absolutely do, and you should definitely be on IndieGoGo. Kickstarter, again, just adds extra gravy because you can have both going actually at the same time if you wanted to. I think it's a little risky for creators to do it at the same time because campaigns are really based on momentum and people like to see big winners. So I recommend doing one at a time, but there's no, unless you're a bigger name, which I'll get to in a second here. But doing one after another is just giving you extra funds. And I think having options for both platforms, so people who utilize those platforms and don't necessarily look at the other platform can find it, is always a good thing. Now, as you get bigger and as you have a bigger mailing list, your audience more gets directed towards your site that you tell them to get directed towards. So it doesn't matter as much for bigger creators as it does for maybe the smaller creators. But at the same time, we do have a bigger creator, and we have a great case study to show you right now why it is good to be on as many platforms as possible to get your audience your book as widely distributed as possible to as much audience as possibly can read it. And I'm going to look at Billy Tucci's She Omnibus right now. Now, he launched it on both platforms at the same time. Billy Tucci has a Comicsgate audience, which is right here at this $88,000. He's crushing it with this omnibus. I'm backing this omnibus. Full disclosure on that. And this is a very popular property from the 90s. And because of that, he also has an audience that is not Comicsgate. I've seen him on non-Comicsgate channels talking about the book. I've seen him pushing it. And when he goes to non-Comicsgate audiences, right here, he pushes the Kickstarter because Kickstarter, again, is what most people are comfortable with outside of this audience. And as you can see, he's got 511 backers, $60,000. He might not have otherwise if it was only on IndieGoGo. So he's got a total of 130,000, and it's a pretty split audience right here. So Billy Tucci is smart to go on both platforms. May take a couple extra hours to set up because you got to set up everything twice, but there are good reasons to do it. Now, I think Kickstarter is a little more intuitive to use for backers who are on there. However, it's easier maybe to get to your book from somebody going from the base IndieGoGo site, so that has a benefit there also. Both platforms really have something to offer, and again, different audiences. So it's your job to expand to as many audiences as possible. This is why, comics have regular books and then trade paperbacks. There's people who collect regular issues. There's people who do trade paperbacks. There's people who go into comic book stores. Those books also go on Amazon. Those books also get released digitally. And the reason for that is to expand the audience as much as possible. So I highly recommend that for smaller creators. Now, if you're a extremely large creator, you might have your full audience and they know you're going to be in this one spot, and so they might just go to that one spot. It would be best, honestly, just to have your own online bookstore to do that in that instance, because then these companies don't even take a percentage at that point. And some people are starting to do that. I saw Doug Ernst do that with his last campaign, for example, and good work to him on that. I'll eventually have my own online store also. I'm not going to discount these because, again, I want people to find my book on IndieGoGo and Kickstarter and Amazon also. But for the people who just want to give direct to me like that, I think that's a good option. We're working on it. It takes some time and some money to set up a website just like that. So my advice is to really explore all options. If it seems like you can get sales on any platform, I would just go there and just have it up there. And I've got a distribution deal right now with a Brazilian comic company that's going to print it and put it into stores in Brazil, and for Deus Vult, that is. And they're going to be translating it for me. Now, it's probably not going to make me a ton of money on that front, but again, I'm going to get new audience. It's going to get in front of different people, and it'll make some money. So it's better than, for the 5 minutes it's spent for me to send them the files, totally worth it to do. And that is my sort of analysis on this. You want to be everywhere. You want to be in front of as many people as possible. You want as many readers as possible to come into the big tent, and then we'll win. So please back this on Kickstarter if you've not read Deus Vult yet. Deus Vult is my new book with Jesse White. He did this beautiful painted cover, which is awesome. You can get this Miss Sashi cover here, which is a little risque. And she does those for me. The interior art is just like Conan the Barbarian. Beautiful stuff. and it's live on Kickstarter right now. We can make a big win out of this project again. And it's great. I love getting seen on these platforms. I love everybody who's reading, and I appreciate you guys who backed the book. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for creators. Let me know if it was for you, and hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.